I'm going to take a look at our Gudgeon and Rear Frame packages. But before I start that, I'm going to give a reminder of how you can check yours to see if you've got any problems. The first thing I like to look at is my steering cylinder been bumping my rear frame? Here I can see maybe a tad bit, but not enough that's going to give me a big concern. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find something that is like a feeler gauge, which can be anything. I mean, sometimes this little piece here works, sometimes it doesn't work, but anything you can use, a piece of metal, piece of wood, a couple credit cards put together, anything that will give you a gapping measurement that you can decide whether it's tight at the top and loose at the bottom, vice versa, etc. And you want to do all three sides, so top, left and right hand side. This goes for the same thing on your cast style. You're looking at your steering cylinder, then you're looking at your gapping. Now your 9R FT4, you can't quite look at your rear to see if it's bumping into it, but you have a little bit more access to your spacing, so that's an easier way to look at those. Okay, so if you find your gapping is out of whack, now you're going to have to do a little bit more detailed work, and you're going to get you a flashlight and maybe a scope. But these fittings are typically at let's say 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, whatever. For some reason, that's where I see them wear. They wear from there around to the other side. So you really got to be able to see in there. And all I'm doing here is trying to help you not have to pull the damn thing off, just to know what we can already know by looking at it. If it's got that wear in it, I'm going to tell you that your rear frame has to be replaced or machined, because what's going to happen is your rear seal won't seal. And then even if you put new bearings in it, you're going to have the same problem. This is kind of hard to see, but right down in here, there is an actual little shelf or a little machine area. Basically, if anything off of this here is gone, your rear frame is bad. Okay, so we've determined we've got a bad Gudgeon spindle rear frame. So here's your options. If you've got a 9000 series or a 9020 series tractor, this is a greasable bushing style. This is exclusive to us. We're converting these we machine the housings where you can grease the bushing. We put the bushing in where it's greasable. And this entire package can just be slid right in the tractor without trying to press off the spindle, reinstall the spindle. If you've never done that, it's quite a job. Can be dangerous if you don't have the right setup. Our new versions do not come with drive shafts because there are multiple drive shafts for series and size of series. So we wanted to build one unit and not have a hiccup on the rest of it. So you install your drive shaft, and this will fit your 9000 and 9020. Next version is going to be the actual bearing, greasable bearing style. It will fit a 3-inch pin or a 2.5-inch pin. We can bushing it down to fit the 2.5. Next, we go to a 30 series cast bushing style that is greasable. These are the ones we're machining. 30 series gets a heavy rear frame. You've got a larger support, which if you wanted to put weights on the back, you could. It's also stronger in here, and it's got more supports and heavier metal. This is a 2.5 or 3-inch pin. If you have a 9000 or 9020 that's never had the steering cylinders updated, you'll need bushings to go into these holes right here. This is the 90/30 scraper version, so heavy duty tapered bearing, greasable. This one was a generation 1 with the drive shaft in it. They will no longer come with the drive shaft or yoke. You'll install yours. 3.5 4-inch pin. Now out of this series here, you could put a 9000 on a 90/30. You could put a 90/30 on a 9000. It may not make sense financially, but you can do it. The next version that we go to is going to be more specific to your model of machines, and they're not as convertible. So we get to 9R 2012, 2014. We get a little different rear frame. It's got heavier supports on it. It's the same whether it's bushing or bearing style. And we're also going to be converting the bushing style to bearing style. It could work on a 90/30, but you'd have to put either no fenders on it, or you'd have to buy a set of 9R fenders, which could be an upgrade for you. Then when we go to 2015 to 2019, they changed completely. This is a single reduction axle for a 9370 through a 9470. This is an actual bearing style, but they made a bushing style in it. We'll be converting those also. And the one that we don't have is the double reduction axle FT4. It just seems to sell faster, and we've got some at the shop now. So the benefit of this is when you have more than one problem. If you just had a Gudgeon bad, just go buy a new Gudgeon. If you just had a spindle bad, go and buy a new spindle. If you just had a rear frame bad, go and buy a new frame. But when you have more than one, typically you have all three. Again, typically. That's why I'm giving you the tips on what to look for. I'm giving you the tips not to about not taking it apart, not because we're wanting to sell you a package, but because if I can give you the same tips that we use here, which is I know every shortcut that there is. So I'm giving those to you to save you labor of taking it apart, to know what you can already know without taking it apart. Now, the guys that I don't trust you, you're trying to sell me something, then you can just say, I told you so later. You take it apart, we ship it on the shipping stand, you got to put it back together. So it's a service piece we're trying to give you. Also, from the point of, if you don't need the 3 pieces, there's really no reason to price a package. Zero. You'll never buy a package just because you need a Gudgeon. And I don't blame you. I wouldn't either. So these are just things we know, just trying to help customers make the best decision that they can, knowing what options that are out there, without fielding a bunch of phone calls for something that we can't sell. So that's what these videos are for. If we can help you, be glad to. If these videos help you, even better, because you either know that we have a solution, you can call up and do we have it, or that's a higher price point than I need, and there's no reason for me to call, because we don't sell a Gudgeon. We don't sell a spindle. We do have a few rear frames currently for the 90/30 series, but once they're gone, all we'll have is these packages. So if we can help you out, give us a call, 800-688-0405.